Aloha and welcome to Wisdom Dialogues with Hope Johnson. Thank you so much for joining for those who are here, and thank you so much for listening if you're listening right now. I love you. Aloha and hooray. So we have total dominion over the world of form, which is basically the world made out of thought. That's all of our perceptions, everything perceived. We have total dominion over that. But when we put the ego in charge, which is basically believing any kind of thought that makes us less than, less powerful, say something in the world has power over us. Maybe there's some kind of cold going around, or that's what the story is anyways. There's some kind of a cold going around. If we buy into that we're susceptible, then that's a choice to believe that something else has power other than love. Something else has power over us. And it's only our belief that things have power over us that makes it seem like that. See? Like that stuff is contagious. Or that you can be a victim of the economy. Okay? Or that you need insurance. That's another one. That's not going to protect anyone from anything. It's okay to have insurance. That's not a problem. Because nothing that happens in the world is really happening anyways. But when there's an idea that insurance is necessary, otherwise it can cause suffering, then that's making it as if love isn't the most powerful thing in the world. And it makes it like that in our own mind only. And the more we collect concepts like that, you know, come to a conclusion about things, what in the world is dangerous, what supplements are good, even. You know, it's so funny. None of this stuff that we use or do, and nothing in the world can have any power over us. Because the mind is our own. It's only projections of ego that allow us to see something that's separate, that allow us to perceive that something in the world can hurt us or something in the world can help us. It's really the same thing. Okay? And that doesn't mean that no one should use remedies or anything like that. Okay? Using remedies isn't a problem because, again, anything that happens on the surface, appears to happen on the surface, isn't really happening. So it doesn't matter. It's only how it's related with in the mind. That's it. Okay? Let's have some convos. I'm unmuting Lori because I saw her hand. Aloha, Lori.
Hi. Well, I put it back down because I wasn't sure. Okay. So when you were talking about the big cancer scare
Okay.
with, I mean, we even have an oil truck in a adjacent town from mine that is pink. And we
Okay.
even have license plates with the pink. It's like in every woman's face. Don't forget, breast
Yeah.
cancer. You're going to get breast cancer if you don't, whatever. Uh,
It's
so
funny.
well, it's funny. It's true. It's like if we needed any more fear, I mean, anyway, I have never had a mammogram and I don't plan on having one. I haven't had a colonoscopy and I don't plan on having one. Everything is working fine. I haven't been to a doctor since I was 40 and I am fine. Every single person that I know that goes to the doctor goes to the doctor and goes to the doctor and goes to the doctor. My mother has pills you can't even imagine. And she thinks that if she doesn't take them, she's going to die. She
Yep.
is on some major, um, like drugs. Like,
Yeah, so when you're talking about that, there's an energy coming up. Do you
yep,
notice that?
yes.
Yeah, so that's where your opportunity is in that.
Okay, my opportunity to
Yeah,
look.
because yeah, to look at because there's an uncomfort there around it.
Yeah, because so many people look down on us that don't go to the doctor.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
prevalent. I don't let anybody know that I don't go
Okay.
because it's just World War III. What? What? You're crazy. My mother has had breast cancer, so they say.
Well,
And
there's defensiveness there.
yeah, well, because so many people say your mother had it, you're gonna have it.
You're okay, that so many people thing, they're all your own mind's projections though.
Okay.
Okay? So
Okay.
they're for you to play with actually. Because that's just your own unconscious beliefs coming out. And so when you resist them, you just make those beliefs stronger. It's like cementing them into the subconscious mind. So don't dismiss any of those people that you hear. They're they're all bringing you a gift. I mean, dismiss them from any judgment that you might have about it, but they're all
Right.
bringing you a gift.
A gift
Don't,
to clear that
yeah.
up, to clear it
Yeah,
up.
it's showing you your unconscious beliefs. You know it's showing you your unconscious beliefs because you have resistance to it.
Right, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big gift when that happens because it's like there's nothing but the mind that can be projecting these things, even these people that come up and say stuff to us. So if we notice any kind of reaction, that's just defensiveness coming up. And if we're willing to notice that that's just defensiveness coming up, it becomes very clear and there's no need to fight and it just makes it fun.
It just makes it fun.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you know how I talk and stuff. And, it's like my regular life going through life. Sometimes people will just be like shocked. They'll be like, "What?" And then, if I get defensive, then it turns into a debate. But if I'm not defensive, it's just kind of like it's okay.
Yeah.
I accept how I am, and I also accept however you are, and
Right.
so we're awesome.
There's nothing wrong.
Yeah, and I don't just say that because it's a feeling. We can feel each other.
Right.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
don't have to say anything at all. It's just that when that sense of defensiveness comes up, I know that is just a belief and it's just an unconscious belief. There's no need to be defensive with my brothers and sisters. They're all bringing me a gift.
Mm. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, no matter
It's
what they're
a
saying, even
gift.
if they're saying I'm the worst person in the world.
Right. It's a gift for you to wake up.
Yeah, because you can see your inner response.
Right.
All you need to look at is your inner response. It doesn't really matter what they're saying to you. And see how the ego would have you see this is to start analyzing it on the surface and
Mm.
maybe judging the person for saying something stupid or whatever
Right. Right.
instead of looking where the treasure is to be found.
Mm.
Okay?
I feel that.
You
It,
have
it's
to accept the gift.
yeah. That's it. That's it. Accepting it because that makes you look that's your immediate seeing to what is
Yeah,
being believed in there.
right. Yeah.
Mm, awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
for me, like I can tell you like one account where I live close to a geothermal plant, and around here, a lot of people think that that is very dangerous plant. Like they've researched it, they have all this paperwork, they have all kinds of different stuff. And I've had people, come up to me and be like, I can't believe you live there. I can't believe you live there. I've even had someone say, I thought you were more conscious than that.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, well, does that mean you're not coming to visit?
There was no trigger there?
No, it's like when I heard it, like when I heard this woman saying it to me, I was probably a couple of years ago, but when I heard her saying it to me, I could tell it was really obvious that she was speaking to her fear. It wasn't anything, she wasn't saying anything to me really. She was speaking to her fear.
Right.
Yeah, so I just felt a lot of compassion while she was speaking to me, and I just listened. And she talked a lot about it, and I listened, and I smiled at her, and I hugged her, and afterwards I went back and finished my meal. And after my meal, she came up to me and said, "I just want you to know that you are totally safe." And I go, "Thank you, thank you," and then I knew she's also saying that to herself.
Yeah. Wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And then, of course, I hear less and less about that kind of thing because there's no reason for it to come up. It doesn't have a trigger.
Right.
I never got into debates with anyone about it or anything. I just, let them know they can come over if they want. Come and hang out with Braun. You and Braun next to the geothermal. There's Braun right there.
And he's growing just fine, and everybody else is living their lives, and the chickens and the ducks, and they're all just fine.
We have 37 baby birds right now. Chickens and ducks.
37?
Yeah. Babies.
What are you going to do with them all?
I have no idea. Tony will let me know.
Do you eat duck?
We make duck soup sometimes, which is basically just the broth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah. Hooray.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Lori. I love you.
I love you too. Hi, Braun. Bye, Braun.
Okay, let's take Lori off. So if anyone would like to talk with me about anything in particular, please raise your hand. I love you. It's so fun.
No, nobody wants to do that.
It doesn't look like they do. I see no hands.
Don't do that, please. That'll be cool.
So the body is the ego's last stronghold.
Cool. All right, cool. Get ready to end this thing. It's only been 16 minutes.
Yeah, it's only been about 16 minutes. I'll probably end it around 4. Will you come back and see me then?
Nobody here.
Yeah, there's people here.
It's just like nobody raises their hand.
Right. Yeah. But maybe they might. Okay.
What?
Oh, there's Molly.
No! Hey, person, can you not do that again?
Hello, Molly.
Hi.
Lori says hi, too.
Hi. Well,
Yay.
Ron, you're lucky. My internet might go out. We'll see. How's it going today out there?
It's beautiful.
Good.
Tropical, rainy, lovely.
Tropical rainy with a giant dog.
With a giant dog.
Yeah.
Nice. I remember meeting the dog.
Yeah, Roki.
What's his name again?
Roki. Here, you can see him, maybe.
Brokey.
Can you see him?
No, because not at the moment. My internet's not good enough to let me see you. I can imagine though.
You can imagine him.
What's his color?
Lori saw him.
He's black.
He's black. Yay.
Boy, he's black soft.
Ah,
Oh man, I turned the camera off. Now it's back on. I don't know if it's gonna work.
sorry.
Yeah, I was trying to find it so I could see it.
It says loading webcams for me, so we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I was reflecting today on I've talked with you a lot about in my past kind of situation that I was in, and today just feeling very much like because I wasn't relaxed and I was like coming from a place of like fear, like on the one hand it feels like I really wasn't feeling secure and wasn't feeling like fully honored, and so I acted in a way that was natural, and then I go through waves of feeling like now like guilty that I acted in maybe a way that was not fully just like how you shared, how to just like, you know, people can come and go, and just like the fact that I kind of acted more from maybe an insecure place or a wanting to control an outcome, and a feeling like um, feeling okay with the way everything happened, and but also feeling like just guilt and regret. And then I guess I was also reflecting on how I feel so like off the mark on in terms of like, self-love. Like I'm just watching myself like really grasp in all different directions and sort of feel really far from that place of deep self-love, and if that makes sense.
I know what you mean, and you don't have to keep a log of everything. All there is this moment. There's no need to analyze, you know, how much you're feeling like you're walking in the light and how much you're not, or anything like that, because you're always aware of that going in and out like that. You're only the awareness of that. You're not those different fluctuations. Say it like that.
I guess it's
The
just,
Caribbean coin.
Hey, Ron, can you let me do this right now, please? Thank you, buddy.
I guess I feel like I guess I feel really trapped in the belief that I am a doer.
Yeah, it's the belief that you're the doer, and that it's always in this moment. It's thinking about the past and the future.
Yeah.
It's it's making evaluations.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the doer sense right there, to make evaluations. When you cut off those evaluations, meaning when that evaluation starts to play in your mind and you're not interested in following it, then it loses power over you. And that power is only made of thought. It's only made of belief. Because it comes up and then you make it as if it means something.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been giving it a lot of power. I look at the past and regret, and just today, for whatever reason, there's regret, and I look in the future and how I'm going to remedy like everything in the future and be so awesome in the future that I never do it again. And yeah, I definitely have seen the mind go past and future like constantly today.
So that's kind of like the ego saying, "Come on, follow me." And you know, it's like instead of seeing what the ego wants you to see, it's a matter of seeing that this thing that's being projected is an ego game in the first place. You know, is anything going to the past or the future, anything that feels uncomfortable, any kind of uncomfort, any need to figure anything out, that is the ego. Because right now you are the immaculate self. There's not anything preventing that except belief. It's preventing from you experiencing it, from experiencing that. It's just belief. So in the in this instant, you don't have to believe anything that's being spoken. You hear the thoughts coming up. You recognize that they're just ego projections, and you can feel the effects of them in your body. But when you're not seeing what the ego wants you to see, which is that thought is true, then it loses power over you.
And so
Perceived.
the practical method there, step to take, is to feel in my body again.
Yeah, for me, and you know, that's the way I talk about it, because that's my experience. For me, it's always just any kind of discomfort comes up, it's like a red flag. This comes up, and my attention goes into how that thought feels. I don't even have to need to know what the thought is, just to how that thought feels. And I don't have to make up a way, does it feel good or bad or da da da, but it's actually experiencing the deeper dimension of the thought.
Yeah.
So there's no taking note. I mean, sometimes it's really obvious, wow, that is painful, it hurts, you know, but there's no trying to take a note of what it feels like. It's only just feeling those sensations, you know, and there's a willingness, you know. I was talking about this last week too, because some people were telling me they've been feeling the sensation but nothing shifts, and that's just feeling the sensations on the surface. We have to feel into the deeper dimension. To keep it on the surface, there's a belief that healing isn't possible, or that we're undeserving of it, which is basically the same thing. And that's what keeps it kind of on the surface, where the feeling it, even the noticing of the feeling and everything, is really on the surface. There has to be a willingness, too, to give up what's making that discomfort. It's always something that we're committed to. We've become committed in thought. So it's like a transfer of commitment to what we've been believing to what we know in our heart.
To what we know. Ooh, I guess it's just sometimes those, the belief and thought is so strong, it actually like overpowers my heart in a way, it feels.
Yeah, it seems like that, but it's only an unwillingness. It's an unwillingness.
It really is. I feel that willingness. I feel that resistance. I feel that I don't want to call it addiction, because that's like, I feel like that would just kind of create a different, like a belief in my head, but it's almost like an unwillingness and a resistance, but also like a strong willingness to go with those thoughts.
Yes. Yes, that's right. I mean, if you're having any kind of thought that's telling you, oh, I've been feeling like this lately, and there's a willingness to feel a deep dimension of that thought inside of your body and your energy field, then that makes the thought meaningless. There's something that doesn't want to make the thought meaningless.
Right, by getting you to kind of run away with it and miss the moment. Basically.
Yes, miss that opportunity. Exactly. The opportunity keeps on coming around and around and around until you get it, because, you know, the promise is that this dream will end, but it has to end through seeing. Can only end through seeing. So any kind of thing that brings up tension or conflict or suffering in you will come around again and again and again, giving you the same opportunity.
Mm-hmm. What's cool is last night I had a dream. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, hear you great.
I had a dream last night that this person doesn't want to be with you because of your body. And I was like, I woke up and I was like, all right, then I can stop trying. Like, it was this cool thing of like, if that's the case, then fuck it. You know?
Good.
It was like this weird relief, and then this very subtle willingness to be there with myself and stop striving to be something else, to be lovable or whatever.
Yeah, beautiful.
it was like, but then, so that was really cool to see like it come around and like disassemble.
Uh-huh.
But then it just came on, oh, okay, well, maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was my behavior that made me feel like, guilt or shame. And then that locked me in. So it's just interesting that I sort of like, I'll get these little like openings and then get really like locked in. That just, yeah, I guess it's me analyzing the past, but it just feels like that's been happening so much. Like there'll just be these expansions and these understandings and then it's just really deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because you've been giving that power, so that's why it feels powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't have to. So hooray for the next time it comes around.
That's true.
Because everything's different.
That's true.
Yeah, everything's different. You
Yeah.
always see more. You always realize more. If you're willing to experience the deeper sensation of whatever is arising, you will see more.
Yeah.
Feel more. That's healing, the same thing.
And one thing it is that's positive is that it's, for me, it's been humbling. It's like, um, it's just sort of humbled me in a way that I realize like I can't fight my way out of it or figure my way out of it. There's just been a little bit more surrender, I guess. And
Yeah.
and on another positive note or whatever would be like the fact that I see it now more. It's like I'm off believing the thoughts, but then there's a part of me not believing that whole game either somewhere. Like a quiet, like whisper. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
That even has me want to like, okay, I'm excited to get onto wisdom dialogues, or okay, I'm excited to like, just look at this, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yes, there has to be a willingness to look at it. And it's really important, the willingness to admit that we're mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have to be mistaken if we're feeling any uncomfort. We are mistaken. So the willingness to know that we're mistaken in that moment, it opens it up so that you can see what it is. What is it? What is that mistaken belief? Or maybe
Okay.
not what it is, and it just gets healed.
So not that I was mistaken in my actions a while ago, but more that right now I'm mistaken.
Right now.
Yeah.
That's right. Only right now you're mistaken. If you have any uncomfort, there is a mistaken belief. And if you're willing to sacrifice that belief, then healing happens. But most people aren't willing to sacrifice their belief. They want to believe that the cause is what it's projected to be. Okay?
So can I free myself from feeling so mistaken in before where I acted out of discomfort before, you know what I mean? Where I didn't have these practices before, if that makes sense. I kind of am locked in the guilt in that way of being mistaken before.
Well, no one can be locked in guilt, because even the idea that you were mistaken before can only arise in this instant and can only be healed in this instant.
Yeah.
It's all the same. They're just thoughts projecting around, and if they're believed, they start to feel, it feels locked in because it's practiced a lot. It feels like that, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean it's solid. There's no solidity to it. You can
Mm-hmm.
blow the whole thing. You can blow the whole thing away just by seeing through it. All the generations. When a healing happens, it's like time collapses.
Right. I know
Stuff that was already set up in the mind to occur doesn't need to occur anymore.
my inclination was to like lay down early this evening and be in Reiki, like practice my Reiki, and just like my inclination was to heal, like was to, just to like that time collapsing like nature, and just to like send healing in all directions. And yeah, that exact
Excuse
so
me.
I mean, hypothetically, then, will it feel like there was no error made at some point?
Well, exactly, because there is no error. There's no such thing like that. There's really not. It's like watching a show. It's like watching a show. So there is not. It's not like any error is being made even now. Even in this instant, the error that's being made is an illusion, and so's the healing. But the healing is necessary until there's nothing to heal.
Right.
because there's still an experience of these concepts as being true. Still an experience. As long as that's going on, healing needs to happen. But healing, it can be said, is an illusion that was made immediately with the illusion of separation. It's kind of like a gift. The thought of healing, there's no thought of healing but for the thought of separation. It's not necessary. Healing isn't a necessary thing in reality. But it's given to us as a way out of the dream of suffering.
Mm-hmm. Okay. One last question. It's kind of something I ask a lot, but in different ways. But so just say, I guess I always kind of ask this, so it's funny, but like, I was watching Game of Thrones, like drama, like back in the old day, and people, die, and all the extremes of the drama.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Totally. And it's like some people that are just in these like horrible situations that like, the human design basically, like, when deprived of, when your loved ones are killed and deprived of food and just, all these things that can appear to really hurt the body and the emotions, and can bring about all these emotional reactions. And is the practice the same? Is it for that person, say they're in a dungeon,
Yeah.
like,
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I can use the most extreme examples.
You
like,
can. Yep.
say they're in a dungeon, like, slowly dying, and they've watched everyone be murdered or something like that. Like, do they just feel, is the practice the same thing, to just feel it? And then is there going to be bliss, within 20 years in the dungeon? Like, you know what I mean?
There could be, and there also doesn't need to be a dungeon. Even the dungeon itself is a projection.
Yeah.
Even the dungeon itself. So yeah, I mean, the only place healing can happen is in the mind.
Right. So hypothetically, someone who found themselves in that situation could awaken their mind, heal their mind so much that their joy would still be experienced, or somehow they would just open their eyes and they weren't in the dungeon anymore. You know what I mean?
It definitely takes it takes guilt to suffer.
Yeah.
That's period. It takes guilt. I've been really inspired lately by the story of Job. That's a really deep story. I don't know if you know about that one. Probably not, because he told me you don't study the Bible. But in his story, everything is taken from him. Everything. His health, his whole family, his land has gone to crap, his finances, everything is taken from him. And he just keeps on trusting God, and people are making fun of him because he keeps trusting God, and he's just getting his ass kicked all over the place, Mm-hmm. And eventually, at one point, something happened, and he realized it was all a dream, and everything was back. That's the thing. This whole idea of having, like loved ones that die, You know, this idea of scarcity, they could like be in a scarce situation and stuff like that. It's like all just projections. And our fear keeps those projections coming.
Yeah.
Those is all unconscious beliefs. When the unconscious beliefs are made conscious, they can't continue because you know that they're painful at the time. Recognize that they're painful at the time. They're not bringing anything good.
Mm. Thank you.
Thank you too. I love you, Molly.
Love you too.
Aloha.
Aloha.
So the body, everything that has to do with the body. I noticed for me when it came to my relatives and people in general and things in the world and everything like that, that is no problem. Not any kind of issue at all for me. Everyone I know, they're my brother and sister, and whatever they're bringing is awesome. Not a problem. What I notice comes up for me is things that have to do with the body, and I could see that that is this last stronghold of the ego. Let's say that, because that's supposedly our home. The body's supposedly our home. And so these ideas that I need to do something to get healthier and stuff like that, you know, sometimes I might permit them to wander, those kinds of projections, and notice myself not feeling so good. But here's the beautiful thing about love, basically, which is a miracle. As soon as I notice that I'm not feeling so good, I'm looking to the mind, not looking through the ego's projections as if they're real, but the attention turns. And then I'm aware of the mind. I'm aware of these projections instead of believing the projections. You see the difference there? As soon as that happens, there's peace. Boom. Bliss. Bliss. It shifts that fast. There's no need to analyze. See, if my mind is analyzing what I need to do to be healthy, that's denying the spirit right now. So if I even entertain any kind of thoughts like that, I won't feel well. I'll feel uncomfort. And I'm saying this from experience because I've seen it happen again and again. That's what it takes. Seen it happen again and again. And so as soon as there's a willingness to receive the miracle, basically hand over my concepts about what I think about stuff, because the body, when it comes to scarcity, that's about the body. Okay, how am I going to support this body? The one that says, how am I going to support the body, is the ego. Only love supports. Okay? Basically, the ego's trip is to tear apart the body, make it ill, and then kill it. Okay? That's the agenda of the ego. And whenever we become a disciple of the ego's projections, that's what we're asking for. Like permitting the ego to make these illusions for us. So any kind of thought about even scarcity, health, even togetherness, being with a person, being with a body, okay? Loneliness, it's also about the body, okay? There's no loneliness in love. Doesn't matter if there's a body next to us or not. We're constantly communicating. Constantly. We're communicating with every thought that crosses our awareness, with every sensation in the body, with everything we can see with our eyes, everything we can hear with our ears. Everything is a communication. And we're either teaching that death is real, or we're allowing love to be shared. And love is the teacher. Okay. The love within everyone is for them, their teacher, according to the experiences that have formed their mind. Whatever experience has formed our mind, our inner teacher is ready to show us where our delusions lie, what lies we've been believing. So if we're willing to admit, and this is, this is humility too, to be able to admit, oh, I must be wrong because I don't feel well right now. I must believe something wrong. Whether that's just a physical or mental or emotional uncomfort, any of those all mean the same thing. Aloha, I see some hands. Aloha, Bob.
Aloha, Hope. Thank you for your incredible words today. So, yeah, so then you had a little aphorism kind of as a prelude to the wisdom dialogue where you talk about dominion.
Okay.
We have
Okay.
that we have the dominion.
Yes.
And so your wisdom dialogue teaching has really helped me to fully understand and appreciate A Course in Miracles and my Joel Goldsmith Infinite Way teaching.
Good.
And so there's this one paragraph in this book of his that really addresses this question, this issue that you're talking about today.
Okay.
I'd just like to share that, if I may.
Yes,
so
you
it's
may.
It's from this chapter called My Kingdom is Not of This World.
Okay, great.
And so he says, our world is the externalization of our state of consciousness. As we sow, so shall we reap. If we sow to the flesh, we will reap corruption, sin, death, disease, lack, and limitation. If we sow to the Spirit, we will reap life everlasting. The word sow can be interpreted to mean to be conscious of. If we are conscious that the spiritual kingdom is the real, and that to which the five physical senses bear witness is without power, temporal, the arm of flesh, we are sowing to the Spirit and will reap harmony in body, mind, purse, and human relationships.
Yes.
If we continue to fear man whose breath is in his nostrils, if we continue to fear infection, contagion, and epidemics, we are sowing to the flesh. Whereas if we realize that all power is in the invisible, we are sowing to the Spirit and will reap divine harmony. My kingdom, the Christ kingdom, is the real, and it is power. All that we see, hear, taste, touch, and smell, the temporal kingdom, is the illusion and is not power. The spiritual path is a training ground where we gain the conviction that the temporal world is presenting merely a picture of temporal power, and temporal power is not power. The invisible alone is power. The invisible, which is the I, we really are. Let us carry that idea into our consideration of the body, because our body is visible. There is no power in it. It cannot be well or sick. The power is in the I that we are. If we believe that this body has power, we are giving power to the temporal universe. Looking out at a finite world and a finite body, we can change our entire experience by realizing, since you are effect, the power is not in you. The power is not in this body. The power is in me. I direct my body, and my body cannot talk back to me. I talk to it, and I assure it that I am its life. I am its intelligence. I am its substance. I am its law. That I which I am, and then the body has to obey. And then there's just one more sentence. Such a practice turns us away from looking for material good. We are not thinking in terms of a better physical body. We are absent from the body and present with the Lord. And our whole attention is turned in the direction of spiritual harmony. Not better human relationships, not better health, and not just more dollars, but to the peace and harmony of my kingdom.
Yay! Thank you, Bob.
Right. Yeah, so he's saying, see, that we give power to the temporal universe, what we can see, hear, taste, touch, and smell.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like there's effects coming from those temporal appearances, but he's saying the real power is in the invisible, is in spirit, which
Yes.
you can't, which is the immutable substance of spirit. You know, that he's saying that health and sickness is the belief in two powers, good and evil.
Yeah.
That's what threw us out of the Garden of Eden, the belief in good and evil. So there's healthy things and unhealthy things. There's you know, evil people and saintly people. And so that's where the temporal, the physical, the illusion lies, that good and evil can only exist in a state of separation. Whereas, like you say, health is wholeness. That's the real meaning of health, which is wholeness, instead of division and separation and this world of duality.
Right. So what does that mean for you?
Well, it means that that the body is basically like your pet, that you are the master of your body, whereas we believe that the body has some kind of power over us. The body and the food we eat or whatever can affect us, instead of us having the dominion over our body and the visible universe.
Yep.
So anyway,
Yep.
I just wanted to share that, because I've been reading this and contemplating, you know, everything you've been saying about dominion in the body, and
Yeah.
he kind of really sums it up there pretty well, I thought, describing how the invisible, the spirit, is the power, and anything else is non-power.
Yes. So basically, all day long, we have opportunities to see that the spirit is the power, or go along with the ego and believe that the power is in these unreal things.
Right. The visible things that appear to come at us and affect us, whereas it's our projection reflected back at us, our own shadow that we're standing in, and we think it's out there, but we're the one projecting it.
Yes, it's believing in the thought is what's casting the shadow. It's believing in the thought. That's it. So when it comes up, you know, practically speaking, when it comes up, there's nothing but surrender. Surrender.
Mm-hmm.
Experience and surrender. Experience, surrender. Like that. Okay?
Right, yeah, surrendering and trusting in the spirit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
spirit
surrendering
goes
these ideas, because whatever you're believing is causing it. Right now,
Right.
whatever you're believing is causing any uncomfort you're experiencing.
Yeah, so it's a matter of just believing in the one power, one self, one substance spirit, one love, one identity, one self, one being.
Yes,
It's
but
all
it's
just
not just
one.
believing it, though. You know, this has to be experienced. That's the thing. This has to be
Right,
experienced.
but that's experienced through surrender, like you say, that you just have to really give up.
Yes, it's an experience. It's different from, like, giving up, like, this is never going to change, or just throw my hands up. It's more like you're giving up, you're handing over everything you thought about the situation, person, thing, whatever. You're giving up everything you thought. That's all self-identity anyways.
Giving up
This is
everything.
lychee, Lori. I'm eating lychee.
Oh, I've been noticing that.
They're nice and fat.
Oops.
The season is
Oh, they're
short.
really fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been eating some small ones. Those are big.
Mm-hmm. So,
Delicious.
yeah. So you got to experience it, Bob. That's the thing. And one thing that I notice seems to trip people up is people get involved with learning a lot, compiling a lot of concepts, and then repeating the concepts. Like, even to ourselves, not necessarily saying it to other people, it could be, but just repeating the concepts over and over again. And those concepts actually become the distraction then. Remember, the ego can take over any spiritual concept and make it into a distraction. Something that makes time real. Oh, you're not quite there yet. Oh, you're not quite good enough yet. You haven't quite made it. You know, looking at what you think is wrong and thinking that it's really wrong. It's just another, all these different ways the ego comes in and takes people over. I notice it doesn't matter how many spiritual concepts you have. Really doesn't matter. For some people, they don't need to read the books. I don't need a Course in Miracles and stuff. I mean, it's few, but you know, it's just it's something that we all just know in our heart. And all of the verbiage and the different spiritual teachings are just pointing to what we already know in our heart. They're not actually true. I've said it before a bunch of times. Nothing I say to you is actually true. It's like food for thought for your inner teacher to show the way. But this has to be experienced before there's willingness. Before there's a willingness to surrender everything.
Yeah.
There's some things that the ego just, all right, I'll surrender this, but not this over here. And especially the body. That's the one that's like the last one. Like, if you see that the body isn't real, you know, there's no unconscious thoughts in the mind for making the body real, then healing is just instantaneous. And that would be unacceptable to the ego. So, you know, there's all kinds of unconscious belief that healing isn't even possible instantaneously like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just more of those guilty thoughts, guilty projections. Okay? Just one thought that there's guilt and, you know, we separated. The separation, and then all these different guilty projections come out of them.
Yeah, and then we think that that's what causes our problems, manifests our disease, and lack, and bad relationships, and all the rest of it. You know, I'm guilty of not being.
Yep, when it all comes from the mind. It's not separate from the mind.
Absolutely.
Couple more minutes, okay, buddy.
Okay, well, thank you. Did you have some other hands up, or?
I have one more hand. I see Yulia's hand right now, so I'll go on to her.
Okay, well, thank you, Hope. I'm experiencing it.
Yay! I'll see you next Monday.
Okay, no doubt. Aloha.
See you next Monday, now.
Aloha, Yulia.
Aloha, Hope. It's good to talk to you again and good to listen to you. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah. Like, you know, yeah, it's so interesting. You think like, oh, I might get this question or ask that question, and then you just hear your answers and to other people, and then there are no more questions. But I'll still entertain them just for the fun of it.
Yeah, good.
Speaking about the body, you know, I kind of see how it can be all unreal, although like the thought of the absence of death and aging is really hard to accept, I guess, because of, you know, the entire conditioning and what we see around us our entire life, right? It's just kind of like in front of us right there. It's so hard to deny.
Yes.
Yeah. And so a couple of things. I've had a lot of instances of my life where I had a health problem that suddenly happened and then suddenly went away.
Uh-huh.
So I feel pretty good about that. Like I kind of have a feeling of how that happens. But some things right now, I'm not that I'm concerned about, but I'm curious.
Okay.
What can I do about that or not do about that? Or how can I approach that? For instance, a few years ago, my eyesight went bad. I mean, it wasn't perfect in the first place, but it was a lot better. I didn't need glasses to, see in the distance. And then there was, boom, a sudden crash. I didn't even realize until somebody pointed out to me, like, when I was complaining that the street signs are all bad.
Ah.
At night or something, why don't you go check your vision? And I went and checked, and there was a shock. Like, oh my God, where did my eyes go?
Uh-huh.
So, I've been kind of just like joking about it. Oh, my eyesight went, I can't see in the distance, it's kind of interesting. But then at the same time, I've been wondering, can I like exercise my eyes back into it? Or can I get it back? Or is that the aging that everybody talks about? So I was wondering what you would say to that. And another thing that's happening physically is it's not like a real serious health problem, but it's a constant ache in the muscles, constantly achy muscles. And I do a lot physically, always have done in my life. And they just hurt. And I think sometimes, well, maybe I do too much, but then I do less. They do less, they still hurt, So it's not about actions, right, that I take or don't take.
That's right.
In a way.
It's all
But
about
I also can't think it or unbelieve it away. Or on the other hand, I get it. I should probably accept it all, both the eyes and the body. But I just wonder what you would say to that.
Well, recognizing that anything, the vision thing and the muscle aching thing, they're the same. They're projections of the mind. So that's it. Just recognizing that that's what they are, and willingness to surrender whatever judgment holds those in place. Whether you get glasses or whether you get a massage for your muscles isn't relevant. It's only relevant if there's a willingness to surrender the judgments that are causing it.
I even don't think I have them, I kind of I just play with, thoughts about it. But I guess I have them.
They're unconscious. They're unconscious. That's why they're being made manifest.
How do you make them conscious if you technically don't necessarily believe they're true? Or maybe you're just kind of playing with ideas but not attached to anyone?
Yeah. There's definitely stuff that you don't know about.
Yes.
There's some thoughts held that you're not aware of.
How do you get those out to the surface?
Well, when they come out as a projection, like any thought about your eyesight, for instance, comes up, that's a projection. Okay? So any thought that comes up, just to experience what that's like, what that projection feels like in the energy body, experiencing the feeling, and surrendering whatever's holding it there. It doesn't have to, you don't have to know what it is. You don't have to know what it is. That's a real, to consciously admit that you're mistaken opens up for seeing. Opens it up for healing. But to think that something has power over you, to believe that something has power over you, and that you're right in your judgment, so-and-so caused my eyesight to go bad, aging or whatever. They blame it on aging over at the eye doctor.
Or looking at the cell phone, whatever, or the computer, right?
Yes, exactly. Don't buy into any of those. You don't have to correct other people when they're saying them to you, if the doctor's saying it to you or anything, but just know within your heart that that is a projection. That's how everything gets healed. That's how everything does. You might notice other things that you weren't even focused on like that are getting healed in your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because every time you're seeing that these are projections, look, when the doctor tells us this is because you're aging, I've seen this in myself a bunch of times. To have a doctor tell me this is because you're aging, there's a feeling that comes up in my body that is uncomfort, totally
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable. So, it's like when I notice that what that feeling is, that's because there's belief in that idea. That feeling is there because there's actually belief in that idea.
Mm-hmm.
There's unconscious belief in it. So when I notice that there's unconscious belief in it, then I could hear someone say that and immediately just notice that it's a projection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's a belief and it's a fear. It's always uncomfortable. There's
Yes.
probably no one out there that's completely comfortable with aging, unless you're already there and
No,
there's nothing to
it's
do
not.
about it.
It's not normal. It's not real. Okay?
But
Aging and death
what about
and all that
maturing?
stuff.
What about maturing and growing? And what about like I used to think, well, everything is like that in the world. The trees, the plants, the animals, everything, grows, matures, ages, and dies.
Everything you can perceive through the five senses, that's all.
But
Okay?
isn't our body something we can perceive through the five senses too?
Yeah, everything, your own body is also being perceived through the five senses. It's the same
But
thing.
but then if it's part of all that, why wouldn't it be normal for it to do the same thing as everything else that's living?
Well, what I'm saying is that everything that's living is a projection of the mind,
Mm-hmm.
equally. It's not separate from the body either. So everything living being a projection of the mind, we're all powerful in that. It's just that for the most part, we have these unconscious beliefs that say we're not, say that the power is in the world. We've given the power to the world. And that's why it looks like in nature things die and stuff like that. That's not normal. Nature isn't normal. Okay? That's not how the world really is. That's an illusion, this circle of life and death. It's a total ego thing.
It's so confusing at this point because I brought up the world and the trees and everything else, and it's just really hard to accept how that's like not normal. The seasons
Well,
and
yeah,
the changes.
because that's what you know. That's what you've been perceiving through your senses in this lifetime.
Right.
And see that the way the ego works is all it knows is what you perceive through your senses in this lifetime, so that's like its whole world.
And in a way, you think that may actually be good in some sense, like the renewal, the annual renewal, like new flowers, new things.
Well, there's no need for death for renewal. That's a fantasy.
But then would things not remain exactly the same and unchanged all the time? And I don't know.
I'm
maybe,
sure not. There's change without death being a part of it.
yeah, because I'm somehow resisting that idea.
In the real world, there's change without death. Okay?
It's kind of like we're like talking about Matrix stuff.
Yeah, and when I say real world, I'm talking about like a happy dream, a dream without the ego. Okay?
Mhm.
Anything is possible. So, in a dream without ego, without a dream of death, without it being a dream of death and disease and stuff like that, all kinds of different things can happen. Who knows? Maybe there's this beautiful tree and it's purple, and then the next day it comes out and it's green or something. Like maybe it just fades into a different color. Anything. It's like anyway. There's the imagination can run wild about that, but the ego is like, oh, this is how it has to be. It has to die to renew.
Right.
And then
we have
like
to be trees and the oak trees here and palm trees there and things like that, huh? Is that what it is?
Yeah, sometimes I just sit in my garden and I look out in my garden. We're mostly green. We don't have a bunch of dead stuff. But once in a while, my eyes will land on something that looks dead, and I'll just look at it for a while. And and kind of be like, what is it? Why does it seem dead? It's not dead. Of course it's not. If you take a energy photograph of that same plant, it's totally good. It's totally fine. It's alive.
That is so confusing.
But it looks like it's dying. So, you know, we don't have to accept those things as true. That's the thing. We don't have to accept death as real. We don't have to accept our senses are whatever our senses make out. It's an interpretation of energy. It's totally not true, and it's based on the illusion of separation.
Mm-hmm.
So hooray! Hooray!
I'll go sleep on that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, don't even don't even stress on anything either. Like, you know, if you think that, oh, I'm confused or whatever, it doesn't matter. What that which is confused also is not what you are. Confusion is just passing.
Tormentor is confused.
Let it just let it pass as it does, however long it takes, whatever. But when you identify with the one who's confused, you hold it to yourself, okay?
Okay.
Right. I love you, Yulia. Hey, hello.
I love you.
Charmander.
Tormentor hit himself in confusion.
What? Charmander? What's Charmander?
Charmander is a Pokemon. All right, so I am. Lori wanted me to spell lychee. Yes, that's Lychee. The season is very short. I guess it's a couple of months. I don't know if it's available in your place.
Yeah, but you get so many lychees. It's so crazy.
Yes, especially if you're in Hawaii. Maybe you'll come during lychee season.
So many.
All right. Anyways, I love you all so much. Thank you for joining. And check out miraclebotanicals.com if you love essential oils.
Or maybe, I don't know.
Thank you, Lori. I love you so much. Thank you, everybody. Aloha.
Charizard is confused.
And Charizard is confused. Ahui ho!
He hit himself in confusion.